ABB is actually divided into 4 businesses. We have robotics, process automation, electrification, and motion. And so I come from motion. And motion is where we focus on electric machines, variable speed drives, traction converters, etc. So everything that's related on electric motion, turning an axis. And our mission at ABB Motion is to keep the world turning whilst saving energy every day. That's a fantastic mission. I love to work for that mission every day, right? My role at ABB is to actually bring the next generation services and solutions based on digital technologies enabled by data to these machines and drives that ABB Motion has manufactured, some of them over 130 years. When we talk about energy efficiency in the context of electric motion, we can start from there's 45% of world's electricity consumed by electric machines. This is these rotating motors, right? Energy efficiency is really how do we create the movement, the outcome with these electric machines, the motors, that is going to actually do what it needs to do. And that can be anything from a fan ventilating also the space we're today. It can be the pump bringing the water into the tap. It can be the role of a paper machine. So when you shift electricity into motion, this can happen in the machine, and this can be very efficient or very inefficient. And if we look at our history of 130 years of ABB machines, the first machines we ever built were not very efficient. The efficiency was not the thing we were thinking about when we designed these first machines. We were trying to make something that can make the world turn, right? Over the years, we've innovated through a whole class of so-called IE classes, which are motor efficiency classes from IE 1, 2, 3, now 4 being the highest standardized efficiency class, and IE 5, which is ultra premium efficiency already available in the market. Means that the whole electric motors have gone through an efficiency cycle. So machines today are very, very much more efficient than the machines a decade ago or 2 decades ago. Mm-hmm. This is really, really important. There's 2 other mechanisms of these processes of electric motion that are important for energy efficiency. So one thing is the machine efficiency, which can make a big difference. It can make several tens of percentages difference based on if your motor is an IE 0 or IE 4. Okay. The second important thing is that 23% of all motors is actually only controlled by a variable speed drive. This is important because if it's not controlled by a variable speed drive, it usually is controlled mechanically. And this could look like valve on a water pipe. Mm-hmm. And then you lose the energy. You lose the energy into heat, into noise, into other things, which is not really contributing to the water moving. With the variable speed drive added into the equation, we can remove the valve and only take as much electricity out of the grid that is necessary to move the water that we need to move. And hence the energy saving gains in pump applications can be up to 70%. Some other applications is maybe 5%. And lastly, the new stuff, the digital piece of the equation is also that we can monitor, collect data, and optimize the use of these processes as well. So there are 3 mechanisms of energy efficiency.
If we want to discuss about energy efficiency investment, there is an aspect which we touched today in presentation as well, that in the past these efficiency improvements were driven by a short-termism. It's really to save the operational cost. It was really about how many euros I can save by changing my machine more efficient, and this is immediate operational gain. What has shifted now, especially in the European Union, is the thinking of how do I meet my sustainability goals. So a lot of companies have started really committing to, I'm going to reduce my carbon footprint. I want to reduce my, overall environmental load to whatever number by 2030 or by even 2025 from some more ambitious companies. This is how the dialogue has changed over the last couple of years in the investment decisions. So companies are actually investing into energy efficiency not because of the immediate operational gain, but because of the sustainability targets. So there's much more wider perspective in play today than there were before. Before, there was only the case of, can I save some money by saving energy? And this is also now what is, the story has a little bit changed, and we are looking at sustainability goals. That doesn't mean that there is not a fast payback. There's actually very fast payback. And the current energy price increases in Europe and across the world because of the crisis ongoing is actually even just underlining the importance of these cost savings being a big driver for the investment decisions. So if before we had maybe sometimes difficulty on justifying an energy saving of only 5%, today this 5% can be a very significant factor of a resilience of a business where the energy price increases are significant. So absolutely, there can be a very fast payback time on these energy efficiency gains. It is one of the biggest things we can really do, because if you consider how much electricity is consumed, electricity consumption is one of the biggest contributors of CO2. Absolutely. 45% of that is consumed in the machines. This is a massive number globally, and we've actually estimated that if we could, and this is a little bit hypothetical because maybe it's not possible to replace every inefficient motor in the world, but if we could save 10% of the total global consumption. 10% just with the electric machines of the total global load. And this gives the sense of the scale of this. So it's a very, very big opportunity. We entered into the industrial IoT era with motors and machines about 6 years ago for a big time, I would say. That was when we actually introduced the ABB Ability Smart Sensor, which is the first smart sensor for motors ever presented. And so we have had now about 6 years time and possibility to collect data. And the first case of value that we started from is condition monitoring. It's the machine health. This is the place where everybody started and where we are still obviously developing the market from. But we realized that the same data and access can be now used to introduce improvements in energy efficiency, aka use the data for better energy efficiency decisions. And this is exactly a case we've look at today here, which is a Swedish company that actually originally engaged in a machine health solution, but then was able to automatically make an analysis of their full fleet of connected motors and get a good sense of where those energy efficiency improvement would make the biggest impact. That has really driven their decision-making process of investments thereof to meet their goals. Having access to data, knowing what is actually happening, having the window into this is actually what is happening, this is how this machine is doing and behaving and producing an outcome, it is definitely a key component to achieving the highest possible efficiency at the end of the day. We don't have to guess, we can measure. But will it be the solution, the only solution on how to get there? Of course not. I think it's really important to acknowledge that being able to having access to data is going to help us apply the correct solution. But the correct solution is a combination of data, the insights we can create because of the decades and even centuries of knowledge on these machines, and then the knowledge of the applications and the processes, which we sometimes partner with also with our customers or with other players in the market. And these are all components that are important to achieving the energy efficiency improvements. And of course, providing these machines the right care over lifetime so that they hold the efficiency and perform the way they're supposed to be performing. ABB Ability is ABB brand of digital solutions and services. And at Motion, what it means for us is we have ABB Ability Digital Powertrain. This is our name for the platform through which we provide today condition monitoring, condition-based maintenance types of services to our machines and to our drives all across on our customer base. Tomorrow, we will officially launch our digital powertrain energy appraisal service, which is exactly what I said before, that we then expand the services for those assets that are already connected and can create analytics on the data collected to create energy efficiency insights for our customers and help them make those investment decisions. It really depends, the data management really depends on what the customer really needs and wants. So in the very simplest way of, if our customer really does not want to look at the data themselves, they want rather somebody to make sense out of it, we can absolutely do that for a customer. So we can help the customer interpret the data, but the customer always owns their data. That's for sure. If there's data that is generated by the customer typically owns that data. And we keep the data for our customers, but we do that securely for them, so that only they will have access to that data. And if anything, anything is used for improving our products, for example, all of this data is processed accordingly, so that we respect all of data privacy, all of the cybersecurity requirements and regulations to keep really our customers' data safe. So it depends on, some customers, they want the data, they want all of the data. Some customers, they just want us to make sense for the data for them. Typically, we actually do keep a copy of the data, so our solutions is built in a way that the data is kept in our cloud, and then the customer gets a copy of the data from us. They are exactly applicable for automotive. So this is important because what we have a great case of value and great access to is actually the motors that are already out there. And for us, it's really important that our solutions are plug and play. And because they are plug and play, they are low barrier to install and apply, and they're also low barrier in terms of investment. So we're not talking about millions, we're not talking about a digital transformation, we're really talking about something quite simple and quite affordable to get started and get access to your older machines. And this is really important because there are 300 million of those old machines out there that could benefit from those services. So we really have a lot of focus on the old motors, and we are coming with the new motors starting to get to a point where they are more digitally ready as they come. So we absolutely are with the partnership journey as well. I think again it's important that we remember that for us this is all part of the next generation of services. It's part of the digital, it's part of the bigger picture. And we do have a partner ecosystem because this is too big of a problem for one company to solve alone, and we do absolutely see a huge advantage in working with some of the biggest technology companies in the world and some of the smaller agile players that can bring very on-point solutions and additions to these value proposals. So this is also the story of this time, that we are beyond the point of doing everything in one company and at the point where we understand that complex problems require collaboration. So that's really also exciting. That is absolutely true. So yes, electric motors really keep the world turning because they can be found in buildings, in infrastructure, in the industry, in mobility like trains, right? So there's a lot of, it's really everywhere where we find rotational movement. And in fact, these motors consume 35% of the energy. And it's going to double as we forecast. It's going to double by 2040. So it's especially important that we pay attention on how are we going to do that sustainably? Because the world needs the electric motion to go ahead. We need it for automation, we need it for mobility solutions. And so we are really looking at doing that sustainably. And in the new equipment that are being sold today, they already come typically energy efficient. But the huge opportunity really is already with all those machines, which there might be up to 300 million machines out there, that we want to also address. So we're forecasting right now that by 2040, which is 18 years from now, right? We are forecasting with the current rate of development that the number from today is going to double in the next about 18 years to 2040. And so this is really important. So there's a lot of new motors that are going to be needed to run the world as it is today. And it's really important that these new motors are energy efficient, because it's going to be making an impact tomorrow. But it's equally important that we pay attention to the machines that are already out there, because there's a lot out there. And the lifetime of these machines can be very long. It can be 20, even 30 years, even more. And we want to also be part of the solution of making sure that the existing machines that are out there are being checked, analyzed, and we can really also help those processes become more energy efficient, because this will only bring the big benefits in the midterm. There's the three mechanisms of how we can save energy or make energy efficiency improvements in these solutions. And one is we would change the machines to be more efficient machines. So if there's a very inefficient machine, we can do and change the machine for a customer that is a higher efficiency. And this is the kind of analysis we can do now based on the IoT data, with actually having actual data and not just very light calculation or a very heavy manual process of collecting a lot of data and trying to make the outcome. This is really important. This is always a step change. If you take an IE0 motor and you replace it with IE4, there's always a step change of improvement in your energy efficiency. The second step change can come from introducing a variable speed drive. This need can be also recognized from this data that we collect, because we can then show to the customer based on maybe their pump curve and how they operate their water pump, that there is a potential to remove the mechanical control and replace it with VFD. That's another step change in energy efficiency. But then going forward, continuing, why would you want to keep the IoT after you've gained all this already in the energy efficiency? Well, you can still keep monitoring your process, you keep monitoring your machines and find and fine-tune and optimize the processes over time. This is the last of the three mechanisms. I mean, it depends on the process. It really depends on the process where how energy is created, how it's converted and used as an outcome. So our focus is really at the part where we use energy. And to a degree where we also produce energy, but not so big degree. So we do work with, for example, with wind energy applications, and there we are obviously part of the solution on how energy gets converted in the first place out of wind, for example. So absolutely, we're looking at the whole chain, but our focus is really on how energy is being used in the process. Yeah, look, I think the technology, a lot of the technological advancement happens at very fast speed still, and we actually already trust very heavily on mobile internet technologies with our IoT solution. This is part of the plug and play, right? This is part of making it really, really simple and accessible. I would say what is not necessarily so important is whether 5G is going to be the solution for everyone. It is going to be a solution for some. And what that brings is especially benefits for sure for the data collection on larger sites and with customers that really want to build an infrastructure. It will definitely create some advantages on big plant level solutions. we just actually released a narrowband IoT solution for our drives, which is also something that's kind of still up and coming technology, and that makes it better for customers because of it, the availability within buildings where mobile internet signals can sometimes be disturbed more easier. Narrowband IoT is helping us to maintain strong enough signals to be able to send data. So yes, these technologies will help make it more accessible for the customers. I think the question can be very relevant in this context, and I'm happy to address it. First, how can we help on reducing the overall data load? Because that's why those data centers are being built. They're being built to address the data load that is coming from all of these IoT and solutions. So we really put a lot of energy and effort into making sure we don't transmit any more data than is absolutely necessary to make a function. This is a thing for us. We really look into this, like we really try to find the least amount of data to be transmitted in order to bring value. So it absolutely, we try to conserve this, and it's important because the data load does grow all the time from these solutions. Maybe a second, this goes a little bit also on the fun fact side, that we're very happy to tell that some of these big data centers in the world actually are cooled with our technology, and our technology has the highest efficiency. So we are also trying to help the data centers to consume less energy through having efficient equipment on board. It's a great question. I think, you know, where we all have understood now the criticality to act on really addressing the sustainability topic and the CO2 savings topic. I think, you know, this is a big step that companies have really stepped up. Not just leaving it up to the legislation, not just leaving it up to governments and you know, regulations to control a problem that it's no more a debate on whose fault it was, but it's rather how do we solve it together. And I think this is, to me, this is the thing companies across have really addressed and embraced this, that we can be part of the solution. We have committed as a company to make a difference through our own operations. We are inviting also our suppliers, partners, other companies around into an energy efficiency movement to make a pledge really to act and to commit to these targets. So all I can say is that we can't give up. Whether we make it to 2030 to those targets to be seen, but I think the important thing that we keep going. So we actually, this is part of what we already done really well for decades. So we've actually provide calculators on our website. As you found, we provide calculators to really kind of check and compare systems, compare on where you get into when you select more efficient products. Also maybe combining the drive and the motor. And on top of that, if there's an existing plan, existing process already, there are traditional ways of making estimates or appraisals on existing plants and machines. However, this is exactly the beauty of digital solutions, that now we can add the value together to have the IoT solutions and the energy solutions in one package for customers. But in terms of what is available in general public online, we do actually want to raise a lot of awareness on the topic, not just for our customers to choose the right products, but for everyone. And I mentioned shortly before in my answer the energy efficiency movement, which we invite really companies of any kind to join and make a pledge on how they're going to do this, either with us or on their own, but really to participate. I referenced to this a little bit, and I think this is exactly the right time in the world, because this is no longer just about the government and just about the regulation. This is really the government, the regulations, and the corporations coming together and taking the responsibility to solve the problem. Not just necessarily the problem of or the challenge of sustainability, but helping with energy independence, helping to tackle the growing energy challenge through the costs. And we all know that this energy importing is becoming also a geopolitical topic, and a lot of countries are looking for solutions on being being able to manage these topics. And I think this is exactly the type of complex problem that now corporations, governments can come together to solve. And we can really leverage a lot of the technologies available for us today to bring the outcomes and really safeguard the future.